Greetings, my name is Neosekken, and welcome back to my Let's Play of Higurashi When They Cry, Chapter 1. As far as the last episode's events are concerned, well, in a nutshell, everything is drastically going downhill for Keiichi right now. His paranoia appears to be reaching its limits, and, well, that led to him having a confrontation with Mion in the front of the school when she decided to confront him about his taking up Satoshi's bat here and his rather abnormal behavior. And that whole interaction has pretty much raised the possibility in my mind that maybe, just maybe, Keiichi might have read too much into previous encounters that he and Mion and, by extension, Rei have had. And me too as well, to be fair. But there is still also the possibility that, well, Keiichi here is properly paranoid. Same as me. But now I have that little nagging voice in the back of my mind here that's causing me to doubt some of the stuff I've seen up until now. And kind of annoying, because I want to be a little more certain about what I'm actually seeing here. Same as Keiichi. Anyway, school went by very tensely. Keiichi didn't really say much of anything to the rest of the group after his very tense declaration of war, after his conversation with Mion. Then Rei followed him, carrying a big axe throughout the village into the forest. And, well, she's pretty much declared that she's going to make sure that Keiichi doesn't disappear on her and the rest of the club like Satoshi did. And, well, given how that whole thing went, along with her behavior and the fact that she was carrying a giant fucking axe, okay, not giant, I guess, but big enough to cause serious damage if it hits you, I couldn't really fault Keiichi at all for being scared out of his fucking wits. And just running like hell from her at the first real opportunity that he had to get away from her. And as we were running from Rei, we were assaulted by a group of men who just kicked the crap out of Keiichi, before Keiichi apparently ended up waking up in his house, being nursed by Rei, and then Mion shows up. It seems like things are okay for a minute, and then, well, Rei and Mion, their behavior just does a complete 180 out of nowhere when Satoshi notices some bizarre innuendos that they've been making regarding him and some manager that was also coming to visit them along with a doctor. And long story short, on that front, well, it seems to have ended with both Neon and Rei knocking Keiichi out using some kind of drug in a needle. And now it looks like we're waking up to God knows what, and frankly, looking back at everything in the last episode, I can't help but wonder if Keiichi is beginning to lose his mind a little bit here, because even I'm starting to kind of wonder just what parts of the last episode actually happened, and which of the events were real. Well, at least post Keiichi leaving it for school that day, because I'm pretty sure everything before then actually happened. But now it feels like I'm on a roller coaster, and I'm not quite sure what to make of everything I'm seeing right now. But yeah, the last episode ended up going on for a really long time, so I pretty much had to cut it off in mid-episode, and so we're resuming immediately right where I left off, and hopefully it won't be too short of an episode as a result, because I never technically finished this chapter at the very end of the last episode. Anyway, that's enough recapping from me. I've already done for 4 minutes straight here. Let's just get right into it and just see what the fuck I'm gonna wind up in this time. I squatted down for a bit. When I came back to my senses, my entire room had changed drastically. The numbness in my head was gone, and slowly, I could tell blood was flowing to my extremities again. How long had I been squatting here? How many minutes? Or has it been hours? It was almost as if the hands on the clock had stopped moving the entire time my eyes were closed. That's how little time passed. Really? The air in the room wasn't filled with that madness from before. Only a dull silence. Did I hallucinate all that? If not, then where the hell did Ray and Mion go? Reina wasn't there pinning my arms, and Mion wasn't there about to inject me with a needle. No way. Could it be? All of it was a hallucination? That's what I'm beginning to wonder too. There was no other presence in the room besides my own. It was the weirdest experience I'd ever had. So wait a minute. How did you get back to your house then? If Ray chasing you into the forest after school actually happened, along with you running away from her, then how did you wind up back here? Or did that actually... I don't know what's going on anymore. I feel like I'm missing something here, but I'm kind of scared of the possibility that I might not be missing anything at all, and Keiichi truly is losing his marbles. It was the weirdest experience I'd ever had. I was certainly with Reina and Mion. That's the scary thing about hallucinations, my friend. I don't recall ever having any like that, any serious hallucinations at any point in my life for any reason, thank God, but when you reach a point where you can't rely on your own senses here to tell you what's actually real and what's in front of you, whether it be something you see or hear or hell, even feel, that to me is a very terrifying prospect. And I hope that I never find myself in that position at any point in my life where I can't where I can't even rely on my own senses in that way. I do not envy you at all right now, Keiichi. I doubted my sanity for a moment, but I was also seized with some kind of comfort. I guess that terrible ordeal was a hallucination. Neither Rina nor Mion. They wouldn't ever do something so terrible. My head grew hot. I could tell my emotions were welling up. Why? That wasn't a reason to cry. Why? It was sorrow. Why was I sad? I don't understand. I don't understand. Kind to everyone. Not discriminating against age or gender. Mion. That Mion was sprawled by the window in an unnatural pose. What? Blood stained her a deep red from her head down to her chest. The bright crimson smeared on the walls. That splatter had undoubtedly come from Mion. She always had that bright smile and was kind to me from the day I transferred. Reina. That same Reina was slumped at my feet and was making the same pool of blood as Mion. So, that was real? Them trying to inject you, and then did you just black out and attack them? I couldn't comprehend what had happened. Neither can I. Did someone come to save me? Did they beat those two down? With this metal bat? I finally noticed the weight in my right hand. You blacked out. How long had it been there? It was Satoshi's metal bat. It was covered in a deep red. There was no doubt that this was the weapon used to mutilate both of them. And I was holding that weapon. Worst case scenario, they're dead, and now you're a murderer. And I doubt that the rest of the village is going to take very kindly to this. This is really fucking bad. I was the only person in the house. Looking at this objectively, I couldn't think of anyone other than myself who could have done it. I did this? That's right. Keiichi Maebara. Of course I did it. I told myself gently, as if coaxing myself. Hey, me. There is no reason for you to remember it, nor is there a need to regret it. I disagree. Eat or be eaten. You get that, don't you? If I was 100% certain that they were indeed truly dangerous and out for blood, Keiichi's blood to be precise, I'd be more inclined to agree with you. But again, that earlier encounter with Mion in front of the school before school started is honestly making me doubt a lot of things that have been going on between Keiichi and them until this point, or at least the severity of it. Reina, well, to be fair, she seems mentally truly, genuinely mentally unbalanced. But Mion? The fact that I have these doubts is just making this current predicament that I'm in right now all the more worse for me. Because what if I was wrong about a lot of things? If hell, maybe even everything. Maybe not everything, because, Reina's behavior, again, truly is abnormal. A lot of it, really. But what if I was wrong about Mion's role in this whole thing? How can I even be sure that everything I saw happen just at the end of the last episode with them about to inject Keiichi with something in that needle? Do I have 100% proof that that was real? But the blood. There's so much. Neither Reina nor Mion had moved an inch. It wasn't just a split forehead and a trickle of blood. Nothing that simple. The entire room was splattered with red, and that told me it didn't end with just 2 or 3 strikes. Were they dead? Both of them? The depths of my mind were calm, but on the surface, I was panicking and agitated. Calm down, Keiichi Maebara. What happened to your usual calm self? Come on now. Do like you always do. Throw your head back and take a deep breath. Come on. Once. Twice. Breathe deeply. Calm down. Calm down. I chanted that over and over in my head and relaxed. Color came back to my vision and smells reinfused the air. At the same time, I remembered what happened when I blacked out. Reina and Mion had attacked me. They were about to inject me with whatever caused the same symptoms as Tomitake-san. But right before that happened, I fought back. I twisted my whole body and threw Reina as she was pinning my arms. Then I followed through with my spin and rammed my foot as hard as I could into Mion's torso. It was soft. Reina tried jumping on me, so I tackled her as hard as I could and slammed her against the wall. I didn't let that brief moment of having them off balance slip by. Satoshi's bat was left carelessly by the side of my desk. Bleep. At that moment, everything went pitch black. There was nothing recorded past this point in the videotape of my mind. No, that wasn't right. It wasn't that there was nothing recorded. It was recorded just fine. Just the other me inside myself had told me not to look and had turned off the TV. Oh, keyboard. You're making me angry with you. You don't cut this shit out, I will replace you. I do have spares. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. Just because the screen had gone black and I couldn't see it, didn't mean that the videotape within me hadn't recorded it. The TV was just off. The video was still playing. These are the same exact whacking sounds I remember hearing in the intro. The tape within me, creaking along, still playing. On the other end of that pitch black screen, that horrifying video was still playing on. Compared to this, though, the scene right before my eyes, was still so difficult to take in. There was blood splattered everywhere on the walls, the two of them in these unnatural poses. Not a sign of movement from them. I couldn't even tell if they were breathing. No matter what the circumstances were, my friends, these girls, I had attacked them. I may have even killed them. But if I hadn't done this, I would have been the one done for. If everything we saw actually happened the way we thought it did, then yes, you'd be right. Balancing that out on an imaginary scale, it felt odd that I'd even feel bad about it. You're talking about murdering two people, Keiichi. I think any sane individual would feel quite bad about it, no matter what the circumstances. Even if it was a bit excessive, this was justifiable self-defense. The proof was all here. The two of them collapsed here, and Mion's syringe. Mion's syringe filled with some unknown drug would certainly solve the mystery surrounding the incident with Tomitake-san. And from the fact that both of these two were involved, they'd be able to pick out the criminals one after the other. Still, I might be suspected for this. But that was just fine. Anyway, now this should be a police affair. This wouldn't fade into darkness like Reina's past incidents. As long as the police were involved, that should bring this to a close. They'll probably revisit their investigation on the chain of incidents. Ooshi-san would definitely get to the bottom of it. Meaning, my wish of not wanting to die, of wanting to know the truth, that would be fulfilled in its most basic form. It was all a matter of time now. The doctor Reina called should be getting here soon. I'll confess everything to him. Now hold on, Keiichi. Let's just go with the theory that let's just keep going with the theory that Reina and Mion were indeed trying to inject you with a drug that would cause the same symptoms as Tomitake-san. What makes you think that the doctor that they called wouldn't be in on this conspiracy to have you silenced, demoned away, or whatever? Or even this manager? I mean, it was they, Mion and Reina, who called these individuals to help with you, after all. If we're right to have suspected that they were out for your blood, then as far as I'm concerned, you're still not safe here. I needed to contact Ooshi-san. At that moment, I remembered. Besides the doctor, a manager had been called. I was wondering when you would remember that. It was easy to imagine that they were someone deeply involved with the incidents, judging from Reina and Mion's conversation. The ache in my chest, caused by the gruesome deed I'd done, dissipated rapidly. It was not over yet. This place was no longer safe. Stay calm, Keiichi Mibara. It's not over yet. I need to live long enough to help police of this incident. At that moment, I felt like I heard someone's voice from outside. Since people were speaking, it must mean there was more than one person. I moved the curtain ever so slightly and peered outside. It was a bizarre sight. About 4 or 5 grown men were all gathered at the gate. They very much resembled the 2 men who had assaulted me at the dam site today. Oh shit. Those 2 might even be among them. There was one person there wearing a white coat, probably our doctor. But he didn't look like a doctor at all. My gut told me he was in disguise, only posing me as a doctor. Well, let me get a look at the guy. Maybe I can judge to see whether or not he's a doctor by first glance, as unreliable as that is. That guy would probably ring the bell and get me to open the front door. Pretend to be a doctor to get me to open the door. And then the rest of them would all rush in at once. At that moment, I saw the car parked behind the men, and my heart nearly skipped a beat. Let me guess. Is it a van that you've had a very recent encounter with by chance? The white van! Yep. Although it could be a very different van for all we know. If memory serves, you didn't really get a chance to look at the license plate, did you? No mistaking it. That van. The one that tried to run me down? The man in the white coat entered the gate and headed towards the front door. The rest of the men hid in the bushes and watched him. I probably couldn't pretend that I wasn't home. Undoubtedly, they just break the window and enter. I need to get out of here somehow. Then, use a public phone to contact Ooshi-san. Then meet up somewhere. First of all, I need a weapon. Then shoes. Well, you got your bat. Well, you got the bat. But before all that, there was one thing I had to do. I had no intention of dying. I'd live. And reveal the truth about this nonsensical curse of Orishiro-sama. But what happened from here on, regardless of how determined I was, may bring about my demise. And that was why. There is one thing more important than getting out of here right now. I need to get that clock out quickly and take down the note hidden behind it. Damn it. The tape was sticking to it fast. It'd be fine if it was torn a little. I opened up the slightly torn note and began writing our passage with a ballpoint pen. If I wasn't able to inform Ooshi-san, then the only thing I could rely on was this note. I never thought a piece of torn, college-ruled notebook paper could be this reliable before. I had no time. I'd only write what I knew right now. I needed to leave some sort of information that would lead them to uncover the truth. Rina and Mion are conspirators of the perpetrators. This was an undeniable fact. I still didn't want to believe it. But it was a fact. I wish I could agree with you. I'm not so sure about that anymore. Anyway, I leave all the information that would help them lead them to finding the perpetrators. There are 4 or 5 adults, maybe more. They have a white van. This was everything I was able to see from the window. There may be more. Also, there was that unidentified person known as the manager. To begin with, the term manager didn't even mesh with Hinamizawa at all. If they were going to include the managers from the past incidents, then the only one is the construction foreman, the victim from the first murder. The very first victim in the chain of incidents. Killed in a lynching, his body divided into 6 pieces. His right arm was never discovered. The police should have confirmed that death. But Rina and Mion did both call manager. Keiichi, please stop and think about what you're actually considering here for a second. Just because someone has the title of manager does not in of itself equate to being manager of a dam, like a dam foreman. They said manager. They wouldn't use that term to refer to someone who was dead. The police would never even conceive that someone who was deceased could be involved. Could that be some sort of oversight? I didn't know. But even if I didn't know, it could be a big hint for Ooshi-san. That's right. They needed to start fresh from the first incident. It wasn't just a simple dismemberment, but the start of this string of mysterious deaths that would follow. So then, there must be something hidden there. Please reinvestigate the victim from the dismemberment incident. He's alive. His death should have been established after an autopsy. Again, I really object to this. I would only write down this if you knew for 100% certain that he was alive. Because let's say the worst happens and you end up getting killed or something, and that the police find your note. They'll take a look at this. They'll try to investigate what you say, and all they'll do is just cause confusion, because what if the guy is actually dead and they have the guy's corpse? He's dead and buried somewhere or something. All this will do is just end up causing confusion among the police. His death should have been established after an autopsy. Logically, you would think as much. But was that really the case? Could have been some sort of ploy that they were able to deceive the police with? I don't see how. I mean, a DNA test alone should be proof enough of who the corpse belongs to. I shouldn't jump to conclusions. But he may still be alive. You're jumping to conclusions, boy. I had no time to ponder that right now. Oh yeah, there was something even more important I need to write. Tomitake-san's death was from an unknown drug. That's right. That drug. It was an irreplaceable piece of evidence. No doubt. Just by having this, everything would be uncovered. I couldn't just leave that vial clue lying on the floor. This syringe is proof. Writing that down, I stuck the syringe onto the back of the clock with plenty of tape, so it absolutely would not slip out and fall to the floor. Firmly. Firmly. The bell rang. They were here. I couldn't write anymore. But even still, there was one last thing I had to write. I have no idea why it has become like this. This may be the closest thing to the truth out of everything I wrote on this note. You won't get any disagreement from me on that, my friend. If you are reading this, then I'm probably already dead. Though you may or may not find my body. If I was going to write out everything that could happen, either dying from the curse, or being demoned away, you who are reading this, please uncover the truth. That is my only desire. With this, my last will and testament was complete. I wasn't certain I was going to die, but it was my final plea, just in case. I folded the note, stuck it back onto the back of the clock, and turned the clock back to its usual spot. I couldn't help but pray. Ooshi-san, if something happens to me, I leave the rest to you. After that, I gazed down silently at Rina and Mion. This was probably the last time we'd ever see each other. Rina. Mion. I really had thought all of us were friends. But why did it end up like this? Well, if you're right, then it's because of you snooping a bit too closely to a dark truth. And if we're wrong, then the only way I can really look at it is a very, very terrible misunderstanding of some sort. I never had any fun in my previous school. I only worried about standardized test scores. About the school I hoped to get into, where I really wanted to go, or a safety net. That was all I talked about. It was a dull life. The people I called friends were also my rivals in studying, in competitions, in personal records, and standardized test scores. Everyone here taught me how unhealthy that lifestyle was. This month was really fun. Making a fuss over lunch, making a fuss over the club, making a fuss over the festival. Something hot began dripping from my face. Tears. Uncontrollable tears. Yep. Manly tears. I should have had no obligation to shed tears for them. But they wouldn't stop. Even if they were after my life. Even if they were trying to kill me. Everything that happened this month, I wouldn't forget it. Or could it be those happy days were all a facade as well? Was it all a trap? Meticulously orchestrated up until today? To ensnare me? Somehow, I don't think so. I think it's far more likely that they were ultimately prepared to accept you. But the fact that you started snooping into stuff and talking with strangers to the village that, well, they clearly have a bit of personal history with, upset them a bit. Or maybe they were just, like you say, just planning to maybe sacrifice you or kill you or something anyway. I don't really know for sure, but somehow I don't think it was some quite as grand a conspiracy as you're making it quite out to be. I think it's something a lot more simple. But it's what exactly it is I'm still not sure about. Again, I'm just scared that what if I was wrong? What if I've been wrong? What if you've been wrong about anything? Then what will that mean for everything we've done up until now? Could it have been that I just arbitrarily assumed that they were my friends? That couldn't have been the case. Both Rena and Neon. They really were my friends. Those happy days. There was nothing fake or unclear about them. Then if that's the case, then we've made a very terrible mistake. Someone probably forced them to try to kill me. Or their minds were taken over, possessed by the supernatural entity known as Urishiro-sama. Why would Urishiro-sama need to go to that length here just to make sure that you're dead? If we've been right about this curse thing the whole time, then there should be enough fervent followers in this village here that'd be more than happy to do the deed, and Urishiro-sama wouldn't have to lift a finger to get you killed. Regardless, both Rena and Mion, they were the best friends ever. Don't forget Colonel Sanders. And when they were coming after me, it wasn't of their own volition. Wait. They weren't the kind of people to sell off their friends, regardless of whether or not they were forced. There's no way such a thing like being possessed by Urishiro-sama could happen in reality. Then, once again, the only conclusion then that we can draw is that we've seriously jumped the gun here. Then, did the real Rena and Mion come after me? What was I thinking? I don't know. You tell me. Your train of thought seems to be going in circles here. What a silly, dumb idea. Having beaten down both Rena and Mion, I was still debating if they were the real ones or fakes. There was no real or fake. The only reality that was before me. Rena and Mion were sprawled out at my feet. That was the only truth. Yeah, as fascinating as it is here to try to ponder the truth of our actions here, whether they were justified or not, I would like to remind you that there are a bunch of goons outside your front door right now. I was only trying to twist the facts to my benefit, that I'd beaten my friends to death. No matter how I spun it, it wouldn't change reality. Rena and Mion were both dead. I felt like there was a crack in the dam of strange emotions I was holding back. I felt like my calm state, which was nothing more than a bluff, had receded, and in that opening, insanity was leaking out. I killed them. Rena and Mion. I killed them! doorbell rang again. The unrelenting echo pulled me back into a state of composure once again. I didn't have a moment to spare. Quickly, I needed to get away. I didn't want to die. I would uncover everything after that. The identity of whoever or whatever had pushed me this far. Even if I had to drink mud and eat grass, I would survive. I would survive. I would definitely survive. I killed Reina for that very reason. I also killed Mion. I went that far just to keep living. So I can't die. For my sake, and for the sake of the late Reina and Mion. I have to survive. I ran towards the door and grabbed my shoes. The doorbell rang again, as if to urge me on. Behind the single solitary door. They were there. Keeping quiet, I headed towards the kitchen. Headed towards the back door. Before opening the back door, I put my ear to it and checked for people outside. No one. After I put on my shoes, I opened the door slowly so as to not make a sound. Don't do this, you fool. They could just be hiding. And they're just waiting for you to crack that door open. Just... Never mind, I thought for a second you were going out the front door. My mistake. There he is! The back door! And in retrospect, I guess I should have considered the possibility that they'd have people guarding the back door too. A piercing voice echoed out. That voice stabbed through me, setting my hair on end. I had to run! Get out of here, Keiichi! One after the other, I felt stuff like rationale and intelligence. Those things you use when you have time to spare, spill out of me. I didn't feel any pain from the branches scratching my arms and forehead. My autonomously pulsing heart also felt neither fatigue nor pain. My entire being just wished to live. There was nothing else it desired. It probably had no complaints whatsoever. So of course I wouldn't feel fatigue. I just ran. Just recklessly rushing in the direction I was already heading. Even if nobody was chasing after me, I'd still be running like this. There wasn't a thought in my mind about where I was headed. Bad idea, you could get lost. Turning around, I felt a presence right next to me. That presence was, without a doubt, chasing me like my shadow. If I took even one misstep, I would be devoured. That's what I thought. So I didn't turn around. I didn't stop. I ran. At full speed. I have no idea if the subtitle right there is referencing the sound of the Higurashi or if it's some other noise altogether, but I'm just not going to read it. That was a tripping the Higurashi telling me it was evening. Okay, so it was the Higurashi. Trying to tell me something. And then I finally heard it. The wailing cry of the victims who didn't make it. Would I be joining them? Only the Higurashi knew. They knew everything. They definitely knew. So, I ran towards where I could hear more of the Higurashi's chirps. But the farther I ran, the farther away their chirping became. Well, they would run from you. You are a human. I couldn't get near them. Why are you all running away? Was it my fault? Was I the one to blame? This is a really fucking bad idea, man. Just trying to chase after these things. You're definitely gonna just you're just gonna spin yourself and you're just gonna run around enough circles to the point where you'll completely lose your sense of direction, and then even if you wanted to go back, you probably won't know where to go. Then I'll apologize. I'm sorry. 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 I felt that only the Higurashi knew. The smoking room was filled with a cloud of cigarette smoke. The expensive smoke filter gave off some crackling electric noise, but it didn't seem like it was doing anything at all. Why do smokers have to be shoved so far down this corridor where the sun didn't even reach? I recalled hearing that the tax revenue from tobacco was about a tenth of the municipality. I know this word. Municipality's revenue. There we go. We're the most heavily taxed members of this municipality, so I really wish they'd show us a little more respect. Well, I mean, you gotta be considerate for people who don't smoke, who would be bothered by your cigarette smoke, man. Why would you discard the 5 manzu there? It's just decreasing your options. One of the younger detectives was having a staring contest with the Mahang magazine called Next Turn. You're still in tenpai if you cut the 5 manzu. If you're betting on Hayate, then shouldn't you be going into it with a mangan? Kuma-chan, look at the pond. They all discarded a 5 manzu. It's a safe tile. You'd hate if at endgame someone was sitting on 10 on the last turn, wouldn't you? The kid let out another groan, put out his cigarette, then took out another one. I just don't agree. Why would you reduce your own options? By the way, you can't call Ron if you're winning tile in that Haite. What? Why is that? Just then, I heard a voice coming from down the hall. Are you here, Ooshi-san? You have a call from a civilian. Well, ain't that something? Well, see you soon. Why can't you call Ron on it? Hold on for a second, Ooshi-san. Is it Keiichi? Did you finally manage to get to a phone? The man sitting in the seat Ooshi-san was heading towards waved at the telephone receiver. Outside line. From a payphone. Yeah, it's gotta be. Oh, why thank you. Sorry to keep you waiting. This is Ooshi. Who is it? Ooshi-san? Hello? If it isn't Maebara-san. Why, good evening. From the tone Maebara-kun's voice, I think you need an of in there somewhere. I already knew he was in a predicament. This is the first time Maebara-kun had phoned me, and he was calling from a payphone. please calm down. Did something happen?
Well...
His voice was erratic over the line. He had completely lost his sense of composure. After checking nobody else could hear, I prompted him in a hushed tone. What happened?
Hi.
Calm down, Maibara-san. I can have the local officers head to your location. I'll be there soon, too.
I think that's impossible.
His voice was quivering and hoarse. He wasn't surrounded by people even as he was making this call, was he? Maibara-san, you're calling from payphone right now, right? Where is that payphone? There were no other sounds besides Maibara-kun's voice. It had to be a phone booth. I scratched out a note and thrust it at my colleague sitting across from me. Hinamizawa, phone booth. He understood quickly and hastily started on the internal lines. Calm down, Maibara-san. What is your current situation? It usually wasn't a good idea to tell someone panicking to do so, but this was not a usual case. Maibara-kun didn't just get in trouble, get away, and then call me. He was in the midst of something dangerous right now. But yelling at Maibara-kun right now would just needlessly cause him to be even more frantic. Maibara-kun wasn't just calling to seek help. He was trying to tell us something more than that. And whatever that was. If I didn't get from this call, I was certain there would never be another chance. My colleagues pushed a note in front of me. There's only one booth in Hinamizawa. A patrol car is on the way. 5 minutes. That's too long. How many officers are in there? 2. Not enough. If it was as I imagined, there were likely quite a few people surrounding Maibara-kun. 5 minutes was too long. Did you call the officer stationed in Hinamizawa? He's scheduled to be on patrol. They're currently out, and it'll be impossible to contact them. God damn! Kuma-chan, bring the car around. Understood. Hello? Ooshi-san? Hello. It's all right. I can hear you loud and clear. There was something wrong with Maibara-kun. That wasn't a normal coughing sound. Vomiting? Or was it blood? Has he already been attacked? Was he injured? Maibara-san, the police are on their way. They'll be there in a couple of minutes, so hold on somehow. Hello? Can you hear me? Maibara-san! I could hear on the other end of the line that he was having a coughing fit. What the hell's wrong with him? The worst possible situation popped into my head. Maibara-san! Who is the culprit? How many are there? I thought at first the culprit was human. I couldn't tell if that was cough or vomiting. Are you alright? Maibara-san! I thought that the culprit was a person and not Urishiyo-sama's curse. Up until right now. But I guess in the end it was an intense bout of coughing, then vomiting. But I guess Urishiyo-sama does exist. No, he's here. Maibara-san, please calm down.
I've been thinking it was strange for a while now. It's been following me this whole time. I run and run and run and run, but it just sticks to me like a shadow. But slowly, so slowly, it's digging itself into my back.
Nebara-san, are they... right now? Perhaps... right behind you?
Behind me. Right. Behind me.
Please, Nebara-san, I can tell you're scared. But please! Who is it? That's right behind you.
I can't just look behind me. If I do, I'll...
I understand that you're scared, but please tell me. You just need to turn around a bit. Who is it? Who is behind you, Nebara-san? Right after I said that, I could hear him vomiting intensely. What followed was a nightmarish sound.
Nebara-san! It could be that you're clawing out.
Oh wait, I thought that was Keiichi talking. Nebara-san. It couldn't be that you're clawing out your own throat? Oh, son of a bitch! There was no answer. But I could hear something like scratching. There was a bang, as if something was being hit. Nebara-kun had probably dropped the receiver. I could hear groaning and vomiting over on the other end, and a repeating, abnormal noise. Hello? Hello? Nebara-san! Hello! I knew how far away my voice would sound on the other end, but I couldn't help but shout. At that moment, I heard whispering coming from the other end. I couldn't tell what he was saying. From the way he was saying it, was he talking to himself? Or was he talking to someone there? Hello? Nebara-san? Rather than whispering, it was some kind of mantra he was chanting over and over. I focused my senses, trying to pick up what he was saying. What was he repeating? What exactly? Beep. Suddenly, the line went dead. Did he use up his time? It's because it was a payphone. It was because it cut out so abruptly. The last thing he said came out so clearly in my mind. Ooshi-san, the car is good to go. Ooshi-san? It was... I'm sorry. Ooshi-san? It was... me? I'm assuming that's what he's saying? That's what he was repeating over and over. He said, I'm sorry. I had a gut feeling. There was no longer a need to hurry. I could hear the chirp of the Higurashi spilling in from the open window. Quee, 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 quee. I should have been able to hear them this entire time. I just wasn't paying any attention. Why did I focus on them all of a sudden? Were they trying to tell me something? Only the Higurashi knew. That's how I felt. July 1983. In Hinamizawa, a remote village near Shishiboni City, there was a murder involving 2 female students. The suspect is Keiichi Maebara, aged 1X. The suspect called over his 2 female classmates, ran a Ryugu, Mio, and Sonozaki, to his house and beat them to death with a metal bat.
What? He called them over?
The scene of the crime was the suspect's room on the 2nd floor of his house. The inside of the room was covered with a significant quantity of splattered blood, and there were signs of a struggle of the victims. In addition to the scene of the crime, the entryway, living room, and kitchen all had traces of a struggle. At the entryway, the shoe rack and wall had evidence of being impacted by a strong blunt force. It is believed to have been the same bat as the murder weapon. Having no traces of blood, it is believed the destruction occurred before the murders. There is the possibility that the suspect overpowered his victims to keep them from fleeing. In the living room, the rug had been pulled back and thrown aside. It is hard to believe that this had a connection to the struggle of the victims, and thus the reason for this remains unknown. In the kitchen, the garbage bag was torn apart, and its contents were spread out on the floor. Garbage was strewn about in the surrounding area, and handprints believed to belong to the suspect were discovered. It is believed that the suspect had for some reason taken out the garbage and struck it with his fists. The reason for this remains unknown. In addition, there was a note stuck to the fridge. The words, "Was there a needle?" were written on it. The meaning behind this remains unclear. Just in case the garbage was searched, but a needle was not discovered. Though the garage door was functional, it had been left open ever since the suspect moved in. The garage door was found closed. The suspect's fingerprints were discovered on the garage door. The reason behind this remains unknown. The suspect fled the scene of the crime. However, a patrolling officer, Hinamizawa local PD, found the suspect collapsed inside a phone booth. At the time of discovery, the suspect was unconscious in critical condition. He was rushed to the local hospital for treatment, but did not regain consciousness and died 24 hours later.
What the hell happened to him?
The results of the autopsy indicate the immediate cause of death to have been hypervolemic shock. It was determined that the suspect had clawed at his own throat with his fingernails, and resulting bleeding caused his death. Good God. The similarity to the death of Tomitake-san the prior week, the police believe there to be a connection and have opened an investigation. However, due to the wishes of the local authorities, it will be a confidential investigation. Due to the abnormal nature of the death, it was suspected that drugs were involved, but as with Tomitake-san, no traces were discovered. What prompted all this remains inexplicable. As such, this case is being treated as an act committed on impulse. However, with several accounts of the suspect's bizarre behavior leading up to the incident, it is possible this was premeditated. Separated from his group of friends, isolation, inexplicable behavior. Several days before the incident, the suspect began carrying around a metal bat. The suspect was observed displaying aggressive behavior, as well as talking to himself at school. His classmates have actually heard portions of what he was saying. 2 days before the incident, the suspect declared to his parents the possibility of his death. Due to these circumstances, police have begun an investigation of the possibility that this crime was not committed on impulse, but was instead planned several days in advance. Afterwards, a note was found in the suspect's room that he had written himself. The note was written on 2 sheets from a B5 college-ruled notebook that had each been torn in half. As if trying to conceal it, it was stuck hidden behind the clock on the wall. The contents are written in the appendix. Police believe to be strongly related to the incident. Police changed their line of investigation based on the possibility the suspect was involved in some sort of incident himself. However, no further clues were found, casting down the credibility of the note. Where's the syringe? Was the crime impulsive or premeditated? With the situation unclear, no further developments, the case has been labeled as unresolved.
What happened to the syringe?
However, the following year, suspicion arose regarding the nature of the note. The note was not written on 2 halves of B5 paper from 2 separate sheets, but was originally a single sheet of B5 paper. In order to erase several lines from the middle, someone had torn them out. Judging from the size of the letters, the missing section is estimated to be 2 to 3 lines. It is highly probable that the person who eliminated the lines in question is not the suspect. In addition, judging from traces of large quantities of cellophane tape being stuck to the back of the clock, speculation that something other than the note was stuck there had arisen. Someone took the damn syringe! The person who first discovered the crime was a detective rumored to have connection to the incident, Kurado Ooshi. He went to involuntary questioning but denies involvement in any damages to the note. The suspect's note. I, Keiichi Mibara, am in fear for my life. I do not know why they are after my life. The only thing I do know is that it has to do with Ooshi-sama-'s curse. Rain and Mion are conspirators of the perpetrators. There are 4 and 5 adults, maybe more. They have a white van. This is all in the first sheet. Everything below this has been ripped out. This is from the second sheet. Everything above this has been ripped out. I have no idea why it's become like this. If you're reading this, then I'm probably already dead. Though the only difference may be the presence or lack of a body. You who are reading this, please uncover the truth. That is my only desire. How far does this log go? Okay, I guess I can't just consult the log here to see exactly what was taken out. You who are reading this, please uncover the truth is my only desire. Keiichi Mibara. Of course, the freaking information about the needle. And of course the needle was gone, so of course they would take any passages relating to it. I freaking hate it when I can't remember exactly what was said here. And hello. A new scenario has been unlocked. All cast review session has become available. To play it, select extra in the title menu and then pick the all cast review section. So, wait, is that like an interview with the cast or something? Cast review session. Okay, not quite a live action thing, but something. Why not? This can't be too long, right? Thank you for buying Higurashi When They Cry, Onikakushi. A visual novel by 7th expansion. I still don't know how to pronounce the name properly. Do I pronounce it like 07th expansion or just 7th expansion? How was it? If you enjoyed it even a little bit, it would make me happy. Well, it was certainly a trip, that's for sure. Even a little bit is stretching it. That incredibly dark ending made me angry, you know? Made us angry. As I understand it, this Onikakushi chapter is supposed to be somewhat of a prologue to the entire series. How could the prologue have such an incredibly dark ending? Yeah, but doesn't that happen sometimes? Yes, that prologues have dark endings. The player digging through the story in order to avoid a bad ending is the point of these types of games, after all. That'd be true if this were a regular visual novel, but it's not. It's still just the first chapter. I'm looking forward to the next one. What happens in the next chapter? Reina, do you know? Yeah, they said the next chapter will introduce another aspect of the story. Another aspect? Like, what, a perspective change or something? That's a strange way of putting it. What does that mean? Please do clarify. In this chapter, they introduced the string of mysterious deaths that were happening in Hinamizawa recently, right? The next chapter will introduce some of the history of Hinamizawa. With one strange event happening after another, I got totally lost. What exactly is Ooshi-sama-'s curse about? Actually, what is Ooshi-sama to begin with? They didn't explain it much. I haven't heard much about it. But I kind of have a bad feeling about it. It feels like it'll be another one of those scary stories where somebody gets cursed again. Well, wouldn't that just be fun? Tough luck, eh, Kei-chan? What kind of curse is he gonna get hit with this time? What do you mean, this time? So, is it a different is it the same story that I just went through, but from a different perspective? Also, nobody tell me, please. I don't want any spoilers for Chapter 2. However, I am looking forward to seeing what kind of story it's going to be. Sorry for being late. My bad, my bad. Hey, everybody. Good work today. Same to you. Huh? Where's Kei-chan? Keiichi-kun is already off reading the script for the next chapter. It must be hard being the main character. Huh. That's too bad. You could have at least poked in to say hello. It's probably because he doesn't have any character art, so he couldn't poke his head in even if he wanted to. That's very unfortunate. Rika-san, that's what we refer to as a personal problem. In any case, that story really was a lot of trouble. Especially for Keiichi-kun and Rina-chan. Trouble? That was the mother of all bad ends! I wonder... what was the identity of the thing that attacked Keiichi-kun? So something did attack him? My theory is that it was the work of people made to look like a curse. But at the end, Keiichi made that phone call. Yeah, I also thought that call was strange. At that point, Kei-chan should have been certain that the culprits were people. Very true. That was a strange phone call. So, you're right. Maybe by that point he really should have known. And yet he clearly wasn't uncertain about it, so... was he really losing his mind at that point? Because he clawed out his own throat, like Tomitake-san did, and he was in a fit of hysteria when that happened, so... Keiichi must have been in a fit of hysteria himself. It almost sounded like he was being chased by a ghost or something. Just from that phone call, it really makes me think that it was the work of a curse after all. Since we're all here, why don't we all share our theories? Let's start with Sonozaki-san. I actually believe it was people. I think it was a man-made incident that was just imitating the strange folklore floating around Hinamizawa. Certainly. Every year, on the day of the festival, for another link in the chain of mysterious deaths to happen, certainly, is suspicious. That so-called chain of mysterious deaths is definitely somebody trying to reenact the folklore. Definitely. So who is it then, if that's the case? You got any theories on who the identity of the culprit is? Or would that be too spoilerific to reveal here? I think it was the curse. Look at the scene where Keiichi-san went berserk in the entryway. In the last scene with the phone call, I just couldn't come to the conclusion that person was the culprit. Well, that could have been a hallucination. When you say it that way, it really wasn't the type of scene that would make you think it was the work of an actual person. Yes, but that doesn't necessarily mean that was a spiritual entity. Again, Keiichi could have very well just been losing his goddamn mind, and honestly, I think he was. Yeah, but even then, I still think it was a person who did it. That last scene and the one at the entryway, I think it might have been a delusional episode brought about by post-traumatic stress disorder. I wouldn't know what's going on anymore, even if you didn't use such complicated words. In other words, Keiichi was so scared that he was imagining things. That seemed to be the case to me, personally. Then... What was the meaning behind that scene? What exactly was that mysterious presence behind Keiichi? Well, if it's a hallucination, then clearly it was just his mind conjuring up a presence following him. Because that's what he was most scared of right at that point in time, was that somebody or something was following him everywhere he went. A red herring. R-E-D-H-E-R-R-I-N-G. Michan, what do you mean by a red herring? Basically a false clue. Like old man Tomitake here said, that scene was the result of Kei-chan having a stress-induced delusion from being mentally cornered. To expand on that a bit further, it was a ploy to make the player think it was a curse. That's why it was a red herring. When you say it like that... But... Well, it just means that there's that possibility. In that case, the theory that Ooshi-san proposed during the story, that it was a conspiracy by the villagers, was correct? What does the man himself have to say about that? Me? It makes you think, eh? Huh? I totally thought that Ooshi-san would be behind the people explanation. During the story, I said it was definitely the work of people. But if a person really was to blame, that leaves a lot of loose ends. Like what? Let's hear what Detective Ooshi-san's theory is. First of all, if a human is the culprit, then there has to be a motive. Right. And the only motive that I could go on based on what I saw was that maybe Keiichi was digging into something he shouldn't be. In other words, somebody has to gain something from it. His silence? So what you mean is, if this is the work of people, there would have to be something gained from causing the chain of mysterious deaths? Exactly. I felt that somebody could have benefited from the deaths of people related to the dam development. But the recent victims weren't related to that at all. Very true. First off, who benefits from killing Keiichi-kun? I see. You say it like that, my case is kind of weak too. I mean, none of your money was stolen. There's no way it was human culprits. But that's not everything there is to it, right? Like Michan just said, there might have been some sort of reason for them to reenact the folklore. And that's assuming that somebody was going around reenacting folklore. Exactly. This wasn't a murder where you considered the typical motives. It makes me think that this was most likely some sort of ritualistic murder to reenact the blood-stained history of the village. So I'll ask the question of the hour. Who gains from this reenactment? It's not about simple benefit. It's a more psychological reason. I think that maybe this was an act of revenge. Something native to the region. An act of revenge? Fate was unable to be fooled this time around. I see. A member of some repressed family looking to air out an old grudge of their ancestors. Something like that? I don't like that. And what is it? It couldn't be that you're leaning towards the curse explanation, Ooshi-san. That's right, that's right! The man playing the detective said so. It's decided. It was a curse. I didn't decide on that, buddy. If, like how Maibara-san said during the story, it was the case that Urashiro-sama possessed Reina-san, and Sonozaki-san committed those acts, that would fit the evidence the most. As much as I hate to say it. Actually, I'm of the same opinion as Ooshi-san. I can't come up with any other explanation for the normally kind Reina and Mi-chan to suddenly start acting strange like that. About that, it may sound strange coming from the person herself, but I think that Mion, did it. I don't get what Mi is saying. I'd like an explanation. Oh, sorry. In other words, I think this may end up being a really cruel story. Huh. Wait, Mi-chan. You don't mean... If you follow the trail of evidence to the very end, that's how it would seem. I also have my suspicions. In other words, Reina-san and Sonozaki-san both actually had those personalities to begin with, and were merely deceiving Maibara-san. Am I right? I don't like that at all! Wah! This is all the curse's fault! Reina-san, Mion-san, and everybody else are all kind, nice people! I think that too. I think that Reina and Mion-chan are really good people at heart. I think that during the story, they definitely were possessed by something. So Reina also thinks it was a curse. Then let me ask everybody who thinks it was a curse. There has to be a reason for a curse, right? I don't think there would be somebody indiscriminately cursing everything. Can somebody explain that? A curse is a curse! Human logic won't get us anywhere. That's where I disagree. He'll get somewhere, alright. Satoko-chan. A personified deity is, in the end, nothing more than the creation of people. That's why their method of thinking is also understandable to humans. Just take a look at the Greek pantheon. They cry, get angry, get jealous. Basically, they're just like humans. So what you're saying is that Urashiro-sama is cursing people with some benefit in mind? I can't think of what that could be. That's an odd way of putting it, but basically yes. And what is this benefit exactly? That's why they say, far from Jupiter, far from his thunder. You do have a point. Basically, it doesn't matter if it's Urashiro-sama or humans. There has to be a reason. But Rika, what if that reason isn't clear? Kinda like right now? I don't know. That's right. This is still just a prologue. There's still a lot of stuff that hasn't been revealed yet. Yeah. It's hard to come up with any more theories at this point. No. I won't be satisfied until this is all made clear. Then we're gonna be here for a damn long time, Mion. I think we should just go with Tomitake's suggestion and just watch and see what happens with the later chapters. Mion-san seems rather peculiar about this as well. We'll just make the best with what we know. Doesn't this feel interesting? Like the club a little bit? Oh yeah! If you put it that way, it does seem interesting. Well then, let's summarize. Let's see. I think it was a curse. Tomitake-san thinks it was people, right? Well, somehow I don't think a curse was responsible for taking away a portion of Keiichi's note and the syringe, so there's definitely people involved for sure. Yeah, I'll go with it being people. I also agree with the people explanation. I think for now I'm gonna also go with the people explanation too, but I am still a bit unsure as to how people exactly were responsible here. And I'm not going to go with a third option and say it was both people and a curse unless I have more conclusive evidence that some supernatural elements were involved, because all throughout this chapter, yes, there were a lot of supernatural elements brought up, but I didn't see anything definite on the supernatural side of things, like Reina being able to see Ueshiro-sama back before she moved back to Hinamizawa. For all we know, that could have just been a hallucination that she had for some reason. Now, why would she hallucinate something like that? I have no idea. But the point is, I haven't seen any conclusive evidence that there's supernatural anything involved here. That's not to say I hate such fantastic things like curses. But in this particular case, the connection to a curse is a little weak. 2 for the people explanation then. 3 for a people explanation. Reina-san was on the curse side of things, right? Yup. Sadoko-chan and I believe it was a curse. Right? Yeah. I think it was a curse. So, Rika, are you going to be our tiebreaker? People will say that Reina-san and Mion-san were evil to begin with are more befitting of a curse. Well, I don't want to believe that my own personality was that twisted. But I have to be cool when I'm in club mode. If I base my choice on just emotion, I'll regret, you know? Well now. It doesn't really matter which side you pick, does it? Huh? Rika-chan hasn't said anything yet. What do you think? I don't think that Ueshiro-sama is a bad god. Huh. That's an interesting opinion. So, okay. You don't think that Ueshiro-sama is a bad god, but do you side with one theory or the other here? What does your opinion on Ueshiro-sama have to do with this? I don't want to worship some bad god that just curses people. I'd like a generous god more than one that curses. So, people then? That's right. Rika-chan is a shrine maiden. Yup. Good opinion. Then what? If Rika-chan doesn't believe it was Ueshiro-sama, then do you think the perpetrators were human after all? We'll just go with that. What do you mean we'll just go with that? What do you actually think? Well now, that means the votes are split right down the middle. So half of us think it was a curse, and half of us think it was people. Reina-chan, just for reference, what did the test players who played the beta version think? Oh, we're gonna get some beta opinions, huh? Yeah, there are a lot more players who believed in the people explanation. So I'm not in the minority then. See? See? Right there! Our veteran comrades are cool, collected, and very observant. Well, just because there is a majority that thinks one way does not necessarily mean that it's, well, the truth of what actually happened. For all I know, I could be quite wrong in thinking it was people, and that you guys are correct with the curse. But the beta version only finished partway through the story. Well, then we can't really rely on their opinions now, can we? That's right. Even the people who played the beta might change their minds if they got through to the very end. What should we do then? This means that the opinions are still split. It's no fun if we don't settle this. We need there to be an odd number of judges, in other words. We need one more opinion. Ah, perfect timing then. Why don't we ask Keiichi-kun himself? Let's call him. the opinion of the victim himself is very valuable. I strongly disagree here, because the guy was clearly in a fit of hysteria. I wouldn't exactly call his opinions at that point reliable. Since that's decided, it's time for the phone. Hello, Keiichi-kun? It's Reina. Are you busy with work right now? Yeah, really busy. Just when I thought I'd get a break because the chapter's over, it's already time for the next one. How's Kei-chan? Busy? Yeah, he's moping. I can hear you, you know. Must be nice having a wrap-up party. I wanted to go too. You can come if you get some character art for yourself. Rika, that's a secret. Sorry about that, Keiichi-kun. Anyways, during the current chapter, Keiichi-kun, didn't you die? Well, yeah, clearly he did. We were just talking about who the culprit might be. Basically, we're deadlocked on whether it was people or Urashiro-sama's curse that killed you. I'm really sorry, even though you're busy reviewing the script. Keiichi-kun, what do you think it was? It's obvious, isn't it? Which? Isn't it both of them? Targeted by suspicious people from the village, then cursed by some strange Urashiro-sama on top of that. It's both humans and a curse. So you are a both theories person, huh? Everybody's just picking on me! Well, if that's true, then, well, I do pity you big time, my friend. Big time. So very, very pitiful. Next time I'll pat you on the head for you. I'm sure he would appreciate that. In the end, the opinion's still split, huh? I'll think this over again. We might have missed something. Well then, please look forward to the next release. Higurashi When They Cry, Watanagashi. I think in the end, as interesting as the curse angle is, most if not all the evidence that we've seen for it is purely circumstantial. We never saw anything throughout the entirety of Chapter 1 that definitely could have proven the possibility of supernatural elements being involved here. Because all the instances of Keiichi having seen something, having seen or felt things behind him and then suddenly vanishing, and with Rina apparently seeing Urashiro-sama back in her other school before moving back to Hinamizawa, and everything else that we have uncovered, like the final culprit with the first murder of the damn foreman having disappeared, possibly as a result of being demoned away, and then Satoshi. All of that is purely circumstantial. We didn't see, like, any portals opening up and people falling into them, or fox demons, or shit, anything of that sort really just popping up out of anywhere, really, and then just causing crazy shit to happen. So, I'm less inclined to think that supernatural elements are actually involved here, and that it's more likely that this could be the work of people. Because another thing I failed to remember while everybody was speculating here in this cast review was that going by Tomitake-san's autopsy, he did have signs of being attacked by multiple people on his body before he went into his fit of hysteria and clawed out his own throat. So, it definitely would have seemed that people were involved with Tomitake-san's death, if nothing else. Other people. As for Keiichi, well, he was not in his right frame of mind at the very end of it. There's no doubt about that. In fact, I think that he honestly did hallucinate several of the things that happened to him towards the end. But even that, considering how he clawed out, but he did claw out his own throat in the end here because he was driven to a fit of hysteria, so technically, Keiichi is a person, and he did end up being the one to off himself in the end, so yeah. He was probably also just imagining at the very end figures following him as well, right up to that phone booth when he called Ooshi-san. And then, of course, there is a note behind the back of his clock that had the syringe taken away along with part of it. Most likely information relating to the drug. Yes, now I remember. It was information about the drug. That Tomitake-san was likely killed with that, along with the syringe itself disappearing. Someone had to have found that note before the police got involved and taken it, and taken a part of it that had that information in there, along with the syringe itself, which could have been that very same drug as Keiichi was suspecting. So, yeah, in the end, I'm leaning more towards the people theory than the supernatural curse thing, more than anything. But alas, I guess Chapter 2, as everybody has just said here in this cast review, is going to introduce another aspect to the story. Now, what exactly that means, I'm not sure. But I'm going to guess that that's a perspective flip, because going by the conversation, it sounds like as though Keiichi might be present for Chapter 2. So, if it's not a perspective flip, then, well, I don't know, alternate universe or something? As weird as that would be to throw into something like this. But again, I'm just pulling crap out of my ass here. For all I know, it really is just something as simple as just a perspective flip. Like, I don't know, maybe we're going to see this from, like, Mion's perspective or something. Hell, could be Rika for all we know. There's only one way to find out, of course, and that's starting Chapter 2. Which, fear not, I am going to do just that. I think I'm going to at very least cover Chapter 2 right after this last episode gets published of Chapter 1 of Higurashi. And then, depending on how long that goes, I may or may... Well, actually, no, wait. Yeah, I think I'll just probably... I'm going to assume that Chapter 2 is going to be of similar length to Chapter 1. And what I'll do then is I'll probably just pause future content of Higurashi for a short while and then cover another game that I've been wanting to cover for a little while now. Unless I finish Corpse Party Blood Drive and Corpse Party 2 Dead Patient before then, in which case, well, I'll start the other game I'm thinking about starting right after those are done. But yeah, I guess it all just depends on which I get finished with first. Higurashi's Chapter 1 and 2, or both Corpse Party games that I'm currently doing right now. Anyway, one last thing, I guess, before I decide to just wrap things up, is that it was brought to my attention in the comments sections of the first episode of this Let's Play that apparently the version of the game that I'm playing that I got from GOG, which I think is also the same version that's available on Steam and Manga Gamer, is that it's a vanilla version of the game, as they so accurately put it. And basically what I mean by that is I'm playing a version of the game that is very lacking in its content compared to other versions of the game that have been released. Specifically, the console versions that were released back in the day that included all kinds of different additional features, like CG artwork, voice acting, updated soundtracks, updated sound effects, and a bunch of other stuff like that too. And additional story content that was apparently exclusive to the console versions that the PC releases didn't get. So, yeah. But it's apparently possible for me to add updated and redone versions of these assets through mods and patches done by a fan group called 7th Mod. So what I'm going to do for Chapter 2 onward is I'm going to apply these mods to all future chapters of Higurashi When They Cry, and see just how much they'll enhance the overall experience from this point on. Because, well, if I had known about these mods before I started this Let's Play of Higurashi When They Cry, Chapter 1, I would have gone to trouble making sure that they were applied first, before I started it. But alas, well, long story short, kind of jumped the gun a bit here when I got some extra off days from my day job, and recorded a bunch of more extra episodes of this Let's Play in advance than I usually do per week, with whatever games I'm playing. So, oopsie is all I can really say on that. But, yeah, Chapter 2 onward, it's going to be a very different presentation overall compared to what we've seen throughout Chapter 1, because I'll have those mods installed, so it's going to end up looking like a very different experience from this Let's Play of Chapter 1. And my hope is that all the pros that I could bring to this whole thing will definitely outweigh any potential cons I might find, if I find any at all. So I'm pretty sure you guys will look forward to that, right? Me playing a version of the game blind that has CG artwork, voice work, additional story content, uncensored content, all that good stuff. But, yeah. I guess that's everything, so I think I'll just go ahead and wrap things up here. I am definitely curious to see what Chapter 2 is going to bring to the story that as we've seen it thus far, and just what new stuff we might learn. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and if you stuck with me from the very beginning, this whole Let's Play of Higurashi Chapter 1. If you did and you want to see more content from me, feel free to subscribe to my channel. I will see you all next time. Take care.